Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to class today. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me, whether you're watching live or you're watching the recording. I just appreciate you watching. Once again, thank you for joining me today. I'm Mr. Ramsey. I am your instructor for Web 210 Web Design this semester. And since we're just going over the Begin Here module today, we'll try to keep this relatively short and sweet. Since this is probably the simplest course, sort of, in terms of college classes. Like it's a basic sort of college class that we have here. So in terms of how this course works, relatively standard. You've all had me before, so you should kind of know how, the way I do things and how things work. So it should be relatively easy for us to sort of work out in terms of how all that goes. But I'm looking forward to working with you all this semester. As I said in the orientation video, this course is more of a theory course. This is less of a technical course. We're doing less learning of code in this course, and we're talking about how we apply the code that we write. So we are looking at, it is a web design course. We are primarily looking at concepts of design, user experience design, things of that nature, right, that would make your websites better. We've got plenty of courses that teach HTML, CSS, JavaScript, of all types, right? But we don't really have anything that teaches you how to kind of apply that in the right way, to use things in the right way. So that's what this course is all about. So it's more theory, more like a university course, in my opinion, than a lot of other courses that I would teach. So it's a little bit different, but I hope it is something that you all enjoy this semester. I know students in the past really enjoy it. Oh, let me get back in here. We'll just go through some stuff really quickly here. Here's that orientation video I was talking about if you want to watch that again. That hits all the high points, so that's probably the easiest one to watch. The big thing to remind you of here is to do the EVA. I think everybody's done the EVA by now. Might be one or two little stragglers left to do the do the EVA here. So you want to make sure that you get this EVA done as soon as possible if you want to stay in the course. It's like I said in the orientation. If you don't want to stay in the course, let me know, instead of just not completing the EVA and not saying anything. That way I don't try to go looking for you on Friday. So it's just going to save us both some time there. Right? But, it's just a one-question quiz. You go in there, you click yes, and you're verified and you're good for the semester. Right? Getting started information is here. This is all stuff I believe you all know about, but it's here if you need it. So if you forget any of this stuff, it's a good place to go back and look. How to find the syllabus, how to find my contact information, information about tutoring, information about, communication between me and you all, assignment submissions, discussion boards, grades, all this sort of stuff, right? So if you all should know all this stuff because you all are upper level students. I've had you all before. We've done all this stuff before. Right? So it's probably old, it's probably old news to you all. But just in case you need any, backup information, it's here for you. Here's my contact. Right now that I have moved on to a different role at the college, I'm not a full-time faculty member anymore. My office hours are by appointment only now, just because I'm in and out at meetings all the time. I've been, I've had a crazy day today where I basically haven't been in the office all day. Beginning of the semester stuff. But I've got my phone number here. But most of all, the easiest way to get in touch with me is through my email or through Teams. right? So if you need to meet with me for whatever reason, if we need to meet in person, we can do that. Just, send me an email or a Teams message, and we can schedule a meeting, and we can meet in person, or we can meet virtually via Teams, or whatever you all want to do. If it's just a quick question, send it to me in an email, send it to me in a Teams message. Those are communication methods that I have, on me all the time. Right? And I think you all know that I'm pretty good about getting back to you. Right? There might be something that comes up that, makes it take a while for me to return your message, but I will typically return it very, very quickly. That's one of the things that I try to do, that I kind of pride myself on, is that, I don't like leaving you all hanging for too long. So if you've got questions, email, Teams, we'll get back to you ASAP. Otherwise, if we need to meet, if we need to talk about something in person, we can schedule an appointment. I'm still here every day of the week, so you can stop by and see me. I'm just not always here in the office. I'm running around somewhere else. So it's all good. I got my syllabus here. So we can read the course description here, and it says this course introduces intermediate to advanced web design techniques. And I think technique is the big term here, right? Like, we're not necessarily talking about practical code, but we're talking about technique. We're talking about the application of code, right? Like, if we look here, let me pull it up here. A technique is a way of carrying out a particular task, like if we're going to define it. So it is a way of doing something or achieving something. So it's a way of doing an artistic work, not necessarily the work itself. Like, you can, like, if we want to put it in like other terms, like, you can learn the mechanics of painting, and you can learn how to use a paintbrush, and then you can learn a technique of painting, which is painting in a particular way that achieves a specified end, right? So that's really what we're talking about here when we're talking about technique. So we're looking at applying what we know how to do with HTML, with CSS, with JavaScript, to get a particular end out of it, right? To get something nice in our case, like something that is performant, something that is nice to look at, something that is efficient and effective. These are all things that we'll talk about over the course of the semester. We see here that topics include customer expectations, advanced markup language. We do a little bit of HTML and CSS in the course. That's a little, we talk about, for example, applying specialized web fonts and how we do that. So we do a little bit of advanced markup language in the course, but not a ton. Multimedia technology, so we do look at media a little bit more. Usability and accessibility practices. So usability is where we put a bulk of our time in this course, is making usable websites, for lack of a better word, I guess. And techniques for the evaluation of websites. That's one of the things that we'll talk about later on. Is we will talk about doing heuristic evaluations of websites, how we test websites, how we test designs in particular, to see if one design is better than another design, with the goal of being able to create high impact and highly functional websites. So at the end of the day, that's what we're going to do. It's high impact and high function. We have 3 books that are on our course materials list here. They are The Design of Everyday Things by Don Norman. This is primarily an industrial design book, but one of the things that we talk about when we talk about this material is we relate it to web design and the practice of web design. It's, it's sort of the, it's sort of considered the Bible for design, right? Don Norman is, quite accomplished in the field. And so, I like for you all to read this book to try to get an understanding of this material. When we look at our description here, too, it says customer expectations is a big part of this course, right? Like it's first in the list there. And that's where the idea of these other two books comes in. Design is a Job and You're My Favorite Client. Both of these books by Mike Monteiro. These are good books from the perspective of working in design. Right? One of them is from the perspective of the designer. The other one is from the perspective of a client. So we have expectations of ourselves for our customers, and we have customer expectations of us as web designers. And so we're looking at it through these two books from both sides. Right? What we should kind of do to protect ourselves and expect of ourselves as designers, and what our clients or customers should expect out of us. Now, as I mentioned in the orientation, Mike Monteiro, he has some politics that can be kind of polarizing. If you were to look him up, like both Mike Monteiro and Don Norman are two living men who are, on social media and exist in the world in 2023, right? So, if you were to look up Mike Monteiro in particular, and, there might be some small things in the books that you pick up on, there are some polarizing topics that he covers, and he might believe differently than you on some of these topics, and that is okay, right? We're going to be adults about it, and we're going to look for the value of the design related material instead of, some of this other stuff. So it's going to be all right. These are all, instead of being textbooks, these are all just kind of books, just regular sort of paperback books that you can get. I think you can find them all used on Amazon for pretty cheap. Let me look up one here just to make sure that I am telling you all the truth. And so if I look on Amazon at the moment, I can get You're My Favorite Client new for like $30, $37, but I can get it used for like $12, right? So I suggest buying the used copies if you're going to buy it. Same thing for Design is a Job. Like the new one is kind of high, but if you buy it used, you can get it for around $10 on Amazon. Right, and actually, I don't know if Amazon knows me or not. This is kind of neat. But I'm looking at this frequently bought together here, and it actually shows these three books together here. And again, these are all new prices here. But so you can get them for a lot cheaper than what we have here, right? If you get them all used, you can get them all for about, let's see what Design of Everyday Things is running for used here. Yeah, around $10 or so. So yeah, if you get them all used, you can get them all for about $30, $35, thereabouts. Or you can buy them new if you want them new. I thought that was neat that they, the suggestion that I got given is the three books that we're reading. So that's kind of cool. And if you get like and some of these, which, you have a bit of a luxury here, like Design of Everyday Things, some of the ones that'll take longer to ship. Looks like they can be as cheap as like $3, $5. They just take a little bit longer to ship to you. So, just be frugal. I don't want anybody spending a lot of money on books. That's not my desire. Used books are perfectly fine. You're probably not going to keep them around forever anyway. Right? So keep that in mind. Got our pacing guide here. We also have our due dates here in the menu. That's when everything's due, like I've mentioned in the other class, so most of you have probably heard this multiple times by now. I tried to include some extra time around the weeks where we have breaks, since we're taking the 14-week online class and moving it into a 16-week class. So that's a good thing. Right? I'm trying to work in some time off for you all on all this, right? Like if we look at like the first week of December or October there, when fall break is, you got 2 weeks for that. That module doesn't take 2 weeks. So you could take that 1 week off, and then around the end of November, right there in module 10, you've got multiple weeks for that. It looks like it might be 2 or 3 weeks there. Doesn't take that long. Right, so if you want to take time, then you can. That's great. I tried to incorporate some of that for you all this time. Live online class, 2 o'clock on Wednesdays, which is what this is right now. We'll have a longer, more meaningful one next time. The rest of the stuff's pretty well standard, right? We close up with the introductory discussion board, so I want to make sure you all introduce yourselves. Even though for most of you, I think you're having to introduce yourself 3 times to me and your fellow classmates this semester. I know how that is. Right? I've had to do that before for other classes and, taking degrees and stuff like that. And, it's just the way it is sometimes. So I'm sorry about that, but, it's just the way it is. And finally, the orientation quiz. And so your big graded assignments for the Begin Here module is your EVA, right? You want to remember to complete that as soon as possible. Your introductory discussion board and your orientation quiz. And I told you I wouldn't take long today, so I think we're going to go ahead and leave it here. If anybody has any questions for me, feel free to send them in. You can send them in YouTube chat. You can send them through Teams message or through email. If you're watching this later on and you have any questions, you can send them through email or Teams, and I will answer you as soon as possible. But it didn't look like anybody's here with me live today, so we'll just go ahead and wrap it up here. So we'll say that that's all that I have for you for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.